Everyone's here? Amazing. Let me. So thank you everyone for joining. Let me just pull a couple of things right now. Okay. Great. So thank you everyone for joining. Very excited to be talking with you all. Yesterday was an exciting day, and we're just trying to enjoy it a bit longer. So today we are gonna have our good friend at Lambda Class, Federico, who just landed in Paris in Crocs, and which might be just crucified or guillotined for this as
Guillotine would be more French. I think it's
I know. That's what I was going for. And hung by the foot without the Crocs. And my good, awesome, great colleague, Eileen, who's in charge of the sequencer and basically has been behind the major upgrade that we just went through. And Tom, also known as the mother of Starknet, the son of Starknet, the slave of Starknet, whatever you want to call him, would be the right definition in this context. So, thank you very much, everyone. And so, for those who don't know me, I'm also basically working in charge of the ecosystem, and I guess most of the people here would be familiar. So today we're gonna start with sort of like a small round of intros by Tom, by Fede, by Eileen. For those who don't know, do not know them.
Sure. Who should go ahead?
Tom, you go.
Me? Okay. So hi everyone.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. And also a pleasure to see familiar names or faces. I don't know how to say it in the space. So yeah, as Louis mentioned, I'm Tom. I've been in the crypto space for 6 years, I think, something like that. In Starknet for 5 years, and I've been working on Starknet since its inception. I think almost 2 years ago now, or even more. Yeah, 2.5 years. Oh man.
2.5.
Oh man. Time flies by. Yeah, and yes, so I'm doing whatever Starknet needs in the product team at Starkware.
Hi, I'm Eileen. It feels like my birthday week with this version. I've been working in Starkware for the past 4 years now, and I've been developing Starknet from day one as well. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. And you've been leading the work on this version.
I've been what?
Leading the work on this version.
Leading the work.
Yes, I led the last version.
Yes.
And I kick ass. I don't say that a lot, but I want to say it now.
Nice. And the Crocsman.
And the Crocsman.
I'm Fede. I'm in theory the CEO of Lambda Class, but I don't like being a CEO. I prefer to be an engineer. So I'm involved in developing different things on Starknet because it's really fun. I really like it, and I think it has a really bright future.
Awesome. So most people here are not technical, I guess, from this crowd, and they kind of probably don't know why this quantum leap was called quantum leap and why it was such a big deal for us. So I'm gonna ask my dear Tom, what was there before, what was there now, and how we get there?
Okay, so I don't know, if you would allow me, I would elaborate a bit.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So yeah, we go 2 years back to June 2021, I assume, something like that. And basically we wanted to start working on Starknet. Back then, it was considered a bit insane to think that you can do a ZK rollup that supports general computation. I think it didn't exist. The only thing that existed was a StarkX and Loopring, if people remember, which was a specific application that uses the validity rollup technology. And Starknet, I think it was together with other, I don't remember. Anyway, Starknet basically said, okay, let's do the same, but with general computation. It was around the same time that also the optimistic rollups started deploying. And we basically had the decision between, okay, let's sit down for a long time, define the full specs of a network. And once we have it all figured out, go and develop. And once we have something ready, release it. So this was one of the options. And the other option was to say, okay, let's try to do something as fast as possible, deploy it, whatever we have, and just keep updating in the wild and basically having out there the latest version as soon as possible, right? So that was the decision back then in June 2021. And because we wanted to go very fast, basically we used the existing infrastructure that we had, which was Pythonic. Everything that, at least for StarkX, everything that we did in Python was good enough and performant enough. So we based on that. And it really allowed us to have quite amazing velocity of functionality improvements. And I think by October the same year, after the first version was deployed on June, we had basically general computation with composability in the same state, which was quite amazing back then, thinking about it now. And time has passed, and I think the decision to bring something out as soon as possible was good in the sense that one of the most surprising and pleasant outcomes was the emergence of an amazing ecosystem and partners and visionaries, builders that started to form around Starknet. But then after the functionality was there, the time has come to basically starting to rewrite or to clear the technical depth of Python and to transition it into a more performant infrastructure. And this is basically what's 0.12 all about. Basically, it's the first step of taking the full stack, the Starknet stack, and transitioning it into Rust. And this version basically takes 3 efforts and combine them together. First of all, the rewrite of the Cairo VM. We can elaborate on that in Rust by Lambda Class. I think you started the FED almost 1 year ago. The answer is yes.
Yeah, a little bit more than 1 year. The other day I checked and it was we started playing with it end of May.
Yes. Amazing. So this is one. The other one is how do we manage the state? And this is done with Papyrus, which is another effort in Starkware, which is again almost I think 9 months effort, maybe a bit more. And the last one is the Starknet runner, the Starknet execution engine, which is called the Blockifier. And this is the effort that was led by Aline, and also the integration of all those 3 components into the Starknet sequencer. So I hope I answered what you asked. I don't remember what was the question, Louis.
The question was, you answered it. Like it was how we got there.
Okay.
I got here. And so yeah, so my question, and I don't think you answered this one, was about what were the improvements that happened now, and what how was it solved? And I guess maybe Aline can talk about it.
The main bottleneck we had is our Blockifier component, which was Pythonic, and it ran the Python VM. So we attacked that, like the main bottleneck, and we got like 7x improvement. And this is like end-to-end all the pipeline, but inside the execution itself in Rust, I think it's tenfold, if not more. But we still have more bottlenecks to solve. So that was, we attacked the main problem and we rustified that. That's how we got the main improvement.
Awesome. And maybe Federico, if you want to add anything on this, like what's collaboration was like, what to expect next, how do you see the next target, what they are, and so on.
Sure. So on the Cairo VM that previously was called Cairo RS, the improvement against the PyPy version, the previous VM that was running on PyPy, it's a faster Python. The improvement was between 25 and 400 times faster, depending on the code. 10 times faster was thanks to Rust, more or less. On the rest was because obviously when you do a rewrite, you have the opportunity of checking the amazing work done by Starkware on analyzing it, because we had more time, obviously. We didn't have pressure to go to production. We choose other data structures and algorithms, and we made it faster. Regarding the future, I think the most important part is that with this, first of all, Starks, Starks have proven with StarkX that they're amazing, and that they can scale blockchains without compromising security, something that other blockchains do to make things faster. But with this, we're showing that like Byzantine, like blockchains were permissionless blockchains where anybody can launch anything. They can scale a lot thanks to Struck. I think that's a big success. Nowadays, things are going to get easier for developers. I think Tom said it very well the other day. I think in the next 6 months, it will be the time for application building on top of Starknet to shine rather than infrastructure. So in the next few months, with the lean on us, on other people working on the core protocol, we will make a lot of improvements. If you want, we can get into details of that. But I think that in the next few weeks, since things are going faster, we will be able to see a lot more of like good applications working fast on top of Starknet.
Amazing. And so you didn't kind of address what would come next. Like, what are the next improvement to expect?
Wait.
kind of
Let's first appreciate. I have a lot of things to say in appreciation to what we had before we go.
to appreciate?
Yeah, as Aline said, this is a birthday week, but I want to say something to Fede and then to the whole ecosystem. But again, when we went to Starknet to build Starknet, and I think one of the most non-trivial things, especially for us, but in general, I think in every chain, was how do you have a very good engineering team, you know how to work together, you know how to build stuff, right? But building a blockchain or a network requires much more than that. It's not just, okay, I will define the versions to my team, they will execute because they are great, and then we'll move forward. At the end, you need to build a network, and I think, Ethereum, the more we progress with Starknet, the more appreciation I have to their culture and the way they are able to build together. But to me, one of the biggest, highlights of this version was it proved that two teams can build Starknet together, not just, one team builds the core infrastructure and there are many teams that are building stuff on top of that or the tooling, but that there is a clear ability to collaborate. And to me, it was a really pleasure working with Lambda Class. I think Aline can say also on the engineering side, it was, pure connection. And to me, it gives a lot of, I wouldn't say hope, but how to say it? Good feelings towards the challenges we have ahead with setting up the network with the peer-to-peer protocol, converging on a consensus and decentralized protocol, which clearly requires a lot of collaboration from the whole core building teams such as Equilibrium, Nethermind, Lambda Class. And to me, this was a really, really pleasant surprise because, again, the same way that, I knew that we will be able to build something that works well, but the ecosystem of Starknet is probably one of the biggest, maybe the biggest strengths of the network. and it was a complete surprise to me. The same goes for the collaboration that we had right now. So yeah, just wanted to say it before we move to what's ahead of us.
Can I add something?
Please go ahead. It's your space,
So
my
I
friend.
completely agree on. Actually, I think that's even bigger in some way than the engineering part because blockchains need a social layer of like people working on it, on having core values, philosophical values, for them to succeed. Code and engineering alone is not enough. It's really important. On I think Starkware, on us, we have the scientific method and the engineering culture as some core pillars of our organizations. But I also think that decentralization, open source are very important things that not everyone has. On honestly, I don't want to say something wrong, but at least the blockchains I know, they don't have many apart from Ethereum and Bitcoin. I don't know many of them being big teams in like Latin America, Middle East, Europe, on in the case of Starknet, also hopefully in the long term we will have more companies in Asia that are like building it in the open. Managing teams is difficult. There's ego. There's different cultures. On It's very important that many organizations work on this because sometimes like neural networks, you when you work only in your company, you overfit like the decision making. There's always somebody that is in charge. On When you have more companies or organizations on people from around the world, you make the thing less fragile because we can find issues in what Starkware is doing. Starkware can find issues in what we're doing. The team behind Pathfinder also was amazing to us. They found a lot of issues in our. I completely agree with what Tom just said. I think it's even more important than engineering. We showed that decentralization is not a joke. It's something that is happening with the foundation. It's happening on the engineering level. That's it.
That's very exciting. I couldn't agree more. Like just a through comment here, is that's actually kind of not kind of a disagreement, like a philosophical disagreement most people have when it comes to, people have with blockchains. Some builders in some other ecosystem think that basically what matters is the tech, and at the end of the day, if you compromise on a few principles, it's okay if you get the goal that you go for. And I won't give name, and it's not a criticism per se of his approach. It just feel that when you start, working in uncompromising environment, like under principle that you won't move from, you start to gather people who want to do things the right way and create the community that in my opinion, we see today on Starknet, and that's very exciting. And decentralization is just a goal to achieve a system that they're credibly neutral, and that's something I feel that we're getting into the ecosystem at least. Great. So now let's dive a bit about sort of what's next. I know Fede has a few ideas. You might want to expand a bit. I don't know how you feel. Maybe Aline can also explain what we see as the next steps. So yeah, let's get started. Let's start with Fede, maybe.
Aline, do you want to go first?
Or Aline could go first.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a roadmap on the Starknet blog that I recommend that everybody check. I'm sending. It's also on the Starknet blog. I'm trying to send that to everyone. The other day we had some discussions with Tom about the roadmap. There might be some potential small changes, but the general idea is that we want to make this faster, cheaper for anybody to build on top of it. In concrete terms, in my case, I'm really excited by Cairo Native. We started with a really small team like 2 months ago to work with that, and it's going really well. We're trying to finish the RC20 for doing transfers of tokens. Example on Cairo Native. Cairo Native is Cairo that doesn't get proven. It's almost as fast as C, or C++ because we use a backend on the compiler called MLIR. It's something created by Apple, Intel, Facebook, a lot of big companies that are sending PRs to that code base. And we're using that to make Cairo really, really fast. But again, it's not being proven. That's going to be really useful for Cairo developers working on their machines and also for the sequencer, because what we want to make sure is that the sequencer is never the bottleneck for the network. We don't want the consensus or the sequencer solution to be a bottleneck. The bottleneck should be only on the proving side, and the proving side can be parallelized. So I'm really excited by Cairo Native, and also by the free market on volitions in the future, because with that, once we have all that, and also once we have, I forgot, the decentralized sequencer, from my point of view, in technical terms, there's no competitor against Starknet. Like, we would have almost every big part that is needed for a blockchain to be cheap, fast, and safe. So those are from my point of view, the most important and interesting things in the future.
So, and
Is there anything else you want me to expand, Louis?
No, I think that's actually what I had in mind. Actually, I wrote an article about Cairo Native, which I hope gonna push out soon for people to have a better understanding. This thing isn't something that no one understands today. Very few people who understand this notion of Cairo Native. It's getting very excited, and so hopefully I will push an article soon about it. So, Eileen, on your end, what kind of the next maybe what performance, what are things that can be done quickly enough that will improve the current performance?
Okay, so right now the block affair is no longer the bottleneck, which is natural. We have another one, which are our gateways, which is unfortunate, but this is the situation. So we're working on that. Basically, if someone's interested, we have a deduplication of transactions, which is done naively today under locks, and we're working on making it more efficient. So that's going to come out in a minor version, which is 0.12 1, 2, 1 or 2, pretty good. Besides that, then we're going to discover the next bottleneck and attack it. But besides that, we're focusing on the next 2 versions on making transactions cheaper, especially data availability. So that's validation, like Feda said, and also we're looking into maybe implementing 4844 or 4484, you know what I mean, the data transfer transactions. And also, we're looking into implementing a mempool and a fee mechanism, which will hopefully prevent congestion of the system. So yeah, we're optimizing on Unix.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing. Like, for those who don't understand, the reason why Starknet was so slow to use and awful, let's be honest, we sucked, is that we didn't have a mempool. So anytime the network was congested, basically there was no way for you to force a transaction to get in. It was just like a queue of transaction happening. And so now with the current performance, hopefully we won't see it too fast that we're getting congested, and by the time we get congested, we will be able to manage all of that and allow people to adjust. I do.
Yeah, sorry. I go ahead.
I do have a question.
Wait. I just want to say, we started on working on the Rust sequencer a few good months ago. So we're trying to get ahead of the system getting congested and using all our TPS. So we're probably also going to work on optimizing concurrency in the next few months.
So that's actually why my question was, like, in the previous sequencer, the way we kind of improve the performance was using block STM, which is like an invention.
It was a pretty a simple implementation and partial implementation of block STM, because we were very limited by the framework and resources of Python. But now we can fully implement it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's very good to hear. So block STM, for those who are not familiar, is an invention by Sui, by the Sui network, the people who were before previously at Libra on Facebook, and it allows you to do instead of having every transaction being processed sequentially, one after the other, you can try to run them in parallel, see if they don't collide, and only if they collide, you try to rerun them sequentially. So from our experience in the previous version, it brought us 3x improvement in sequencing. And apparently, according to Eileen, I didn't know that, it was just a partial implementation. So we can even expect better performance when Eileen does her magic. Okay, great. So maybe I have maybe for Tom. So we talked a lot about performance. We talked about the new version, the features, and so on. There are things that are not prioritized yet that get you excited. I'm curious what they are.
Yes, a lot. I mean, first of all, the things that get me excited is what will be built on top of Starknet. And I mean, we always have to remember that the goal here is not to build a nice infrastructure. And the way Fede told me it, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, you don't think about version upgrades of the internet, right? You think about, I don't know, Twitter or whatever is built on top of that. So hopefully, the gains we had in this version will allow this to suddenly become the important part about Starknet. So that's first. But if you're asking me from a protocol point of view, so I see Argent are here. So we still have a lot of things to, or at least War here. We still have a lot of things to improve on the account abstraction. We have the basics, but there is still a lot of things to do there. And to me, the way both Bravos and Argent are, fully into Starknet, and I think it's super, super important for adoption in general. So, being able to lift all the restrictions that they still have and to unleash their minds and power to build the best UX that you can get is very, very, how do you say it, exciting for me. So I hope we will get there soon. This is the first thing. What else? I think that's mainly it.
And in that case, before as the last question, before we ask the people in the audience if they want to ask question, maybe to Fede and Eileen, if she wants to interact, she interject. She obviously can. What are the coolest, most unexpected use case that you're seeing appearing right now, and why? In few words, why do you find them cool? I would say.
I didn't completely get the question. Can you repeat the last part?
The question was, so as Tom perfectly said, we are building an infrastructure for cool app to be built on top. And my question to you is like, what is getting you excited right now at the app level? What do you see that what's not possible before finally happening?
Well, first of all, doing fast transfers. But I'm really excited by especially all the gaming part. I don't think we will see those results in the next few weeks. I think it will take 1 year. Big gaming companies have like very tight budgets, and it's a very competitive industry. But I'm completely bullish on gaming on top of blockchains, especially thanks to account abstractions on volitions. I think that Starknet it's a very good blockchains for games. And I think the work being done by Dojo, by Tarens, on by a lot of I always forget the name. Sorry, I have dyslexia. And sometimes I confuse his names. There's a game that it's
Influence.
Yeah,
Topology?
influence. Thank you. Influence. So I'm really excited by those type of games. The reason is that I think that up to now, I really like autonomous worlds on more like crypto games because I'm a crypto advanced user. But I also think that once we have very like large games being of all these things, or at the end, blockchain use a lot, but for that you need cheap transactions on fast transactions that are safe and it's easy. So I'm really excited by all that. On I forgot to mention it, and it's related to this. I'm really excited by Madara. I spoke with Abdel a lot of times. I don't think the important thing in Madar is the technical part. I think what Abdel did with the community is the most important thing. I'm a very technical person, as you might know, but uh, I think at the end, since I'm an engineer, I want to build products as most of the people here that are used by people. I don't want to create things that are not used by anybody. Um, so I think Madara created a very big community of people that will be able to launch easily L3s on top of Starknet. Um, that's not just a blog post; it's something that is already working. There's a lot of people speaking about L3s. I think we will be the first ones delivering that with CK on. I think that will enable the gaming part a lot, because if you can launch your own L3 for a game with cheap fees, with volitions, with Cairo, with a good language, that will be a big change. On I'm completely sure. I started using Rust in 2014. People used to tell me, Fede, that's crazy. The network effects. It will take 100 years for C++ or C to be replaced. And here we are. Everybody's using Rust. I think the same will happen with Cairo, CK on L3s. In the long run, it's going to be the other way around. Nowadays, people ask like, why should I do this in a blockchain? I'm pretty sure in the next 3 to 5 years, the question in most cases will be the other way around. If it's so easy to launch an L3 with Madara or with CK, where you have things that are secure without economic incentives, the question will be the other way around. Like, why do I want to use a centralized server that I don't control and users cannot check if it's so do so? So I'm really excited by all that.
Awesome.
Nice.
Eileen,
You got me hooked.
any comments? I'm hooked also. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it's amazing. I agree. Okay, great. So let's have question from the audience if someone wants to barge in.
Yeah,
So
but
please raise your hand, and I'm gonna pick. Yes, have you, Tom?
yeah, one thing that I'm just really excited about, and I think it's a
Yep.
sleeping giant, is Snapshot X together with the Herodotus, because I think it completely unlocks something that was not possible up until now, which is on-chain voting. And I think that, first of all, it's super important, the ability to, I see it in our case, but in general, to be able to do on-chain voting. And I think Snapshot X can abstract it completely away from any user and DAO, together with the Herodotus and storage proofs. And it's really around the corner. So I'm really excited to see what's in store there.
And Pia being in the room is just
Pia,
can definitely talk.
my middle son is asking about her. He's 3 years old, and when they visited Israel, they got really bonded. So he sends hello.
Basically, you're saying your son is Pia peeled, but that's it. I'm very happy with my joke, and now I can stem from there. Okay, so now that the joke is over, who wants to ask any question in the audience?
Or come to speak and say something.
Yes.
we have all the family here.
Exactly. I see Mentor, Gorka, Rohit, Starknet Digger, Nestor, Oli. Oli's I see these every day. Charles, that's a very rare. So okay. So actually, that's people don't really know that, but there is the first project I think actually went mainnet is a project that didn't on Starknet didn't address crypto native at all, or in like and it's called Rules, and they were Charles can intervene if he wants to, but they basically create a NFT card of French independent rappers. And they are a spin-off of the biggest rap channel in France, which I find super cool. And they all their users, to go back to the point that Fede talked about, they barely know that they actually work on the blockchain. And so, I remember when they launched and people was like, oh, guys, you're doing a nifty drop, you basically son of a bitch. And the second answer was like, "Oh, you're using Starknet. That's cool, guys. You're not fucking with us." But I remember reading that report of tweet like this, and was like, that was very cool. So if Charles wants to say a few words, I'd be happy to have him on stage. Anyone wants to, in regardless, any question, how you join Starknet, what can you do as a dev, as a non-dev? What can you, any comments, if you want to say that Eileen is the best and the queen, you can also come in, like it's just a regular, sorry? I literally, I'm seeing her from the other side of the office, it's like, she's a queen, I can all agree on that. Yeah, any question, anything, feel free. Otherwise, we're gonna close the space. Okay. Great. No one? Amazing. Okay, great. So was very nice to have you.
I do have one comment.
Please go ahead.
A really short one. I'm really curious about how fast Kakarot will be and use the same. But it's going to be so fun if Kakarot is faster than on top of Cairo than many other CK EBFs.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to see some results on that end.
So apparently, Charles is trying to talk. So Charles, if you're on your phone, you should be on your phone. You can click on request to speak, or maybe I can invite you, or maybe the host can invite Starknet. Can you? I think it's Dora. Can you to elevate Charles to speaker? Okay. I think we are gonna let it go. We already passed 10 minutes on the space. Next time it's okay. We're gonna do another space with rules whenever he wants. I'm gonna organize this afterwards. Only if you want to talk to Charles, that would be actually an interesting topic to talk about. Awesome. Maybe one last word by our guest today, Tom, Fede, and to finish with the greatest and awesomeness, our dear Eileen.
No, thank you all for coming and for being in the Starknet ecosystem, and hopefully I see many of you next week in Paris.
Yes, in Paris.
Are you coming to Paris, Eileen?
Yes, I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yes, I'm gonna have the weekend in Paris.
We should do some celebration, like some brindis or something.
Oui.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week. And if you see any Starknet CC.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Oh, by the way, before we go, there is a big event happening end of August in San Francisco. If you don't know about it, if you want to learn more, it's summit23.starknet.io. There is travel grant for those who can make it without help. There is a hacker house. There is Basecamp. If you want to learn to code, if you want to practice with the best community members, with everyone else, you want to get involved, that's the place to be. It's right next to Stanford Blockchain Week. It's going to be amazing. Feel free to DM. Feel free to talk to us. And Giwook also and Pia will be managing the hacker house. So feel free to come, and it's going to be great. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Bye-bye.